Hey everyone. Today marks an exciting milestone in my journey as a machine learning engineer and as a person in general. I recently completed my internship at a climate risk and analysis company based in Melbourne, and I can honestly say the amount of growth I experienced in this period is phenomenal. I could have never imagined going into this internship how much I would learn and how much I would grow as a developer, as a communicator, and as a problem solver. So, in this video, I wanted to share some of the things I've learned and what you could expect from an internship and how to approach it. Let's dive right in. The first thing I would like to talk about is the rapid expansion and growth I experienced during this internship. And this is a testament that you should never underestimate your learning capabilities. I'm blown away by the amount of technical knowledge I've acquired in such a short span of time. And throughout this internship, I specifically learned a lot about building production systems, automating deployment, and using cloud providers. Specifically, if you can allow me to go into the technical details, I implemented a continuous integration and continuous deployment pipeline with GitHub Actions. I automated resource deployment with Terraform. I engineered a microservices architecture with Docker and ECS from AWS. And I really deepened my understanding of AWS and system architecture in general. I actually took a course during my internship on system architecture, so I could better understand, how networking works, load balancers, instances, and things like that. I integrated with multiple services, including Firebase, Stripe, and SendGrid, and I learned a bit more about writing clean and scalable Python and TypeScript code. And I guess this bullet speed learning should be expected from an internship, as the goal is to get exposed to a vast amount of technologies and learn as much as possible. And that's exactly what happened. Looking back, I'm grateful for this internship. If not for this journey, I wouldn't have experienced the exponential learning that occurred during this month. Also, since I was working at a startup, there were not many guidelines on how I should execute the project. And this gave me a lot of freedom in choosing the technologies I wanted to use. So, a lot of my learning during this internship was self driven as I explored and experimented with new technologies and figured out what works best for the company. And I loved every bit of it. The second point I wanted to touch is the power of a clear vision and why you should forge a roadmap for your project. Plunging headfirst into a technical project, especially one that has implications for clients, isn't always the best strategy. And during this internship, I learned this the hard way. Just a bit of context. Throughout my internship, my main task was to build a property report generation tool. This tool allows users to input their area of interest, or AOI, such as an address or parcel number, and we use this address to fetch data from various sources and APIs. The data is then consolidated and visualized using graphs, and we send this PDF report to the user's email. So I built this entire end-to-end system, from the front end to the back end, and all the way to the cloud services that were actually being used. The technical specifications of the project weren't clearly defined at the outset, so I had the freedom to design the solution as I saw fit. Being the naive programmer I was about a month ago, I dove straight into it, and within a week, I had a working skeleton for the project. But now that the initial hurdles were done, there were so many more challenges that I had to think of, including emailing, authentication, payments, deployment, and the list goes on. I hadn't even considered most of these aspects when I started the project. This lack of foresight cost me time and energy because I had to redo a lot of the work which I had originally done. The specific challenge I faced is that I spent a significant portion of my time refactoring my code, transitioning from a monolithic architecture to a microservices architecture, and switching between different service providers due to their inability to meet the application's requirements. Now, how could I have avoided these challenges? Instead of tackling the project head on, I should have first taken a step back, conducted thorough research on all aspects of the project, drafted a detailed document outlining the solution's architecture, and listed the project's functional and non functional requirements. Now, Don't get me wrong, I didn't do absolutely no research, but I definitely could have invested more time in understanding the problem I was trying to solve rather than rushing to get to the code and create a solution. So this was a very valuable learning process for me. The third and final point I want to cover is about understanding the business side of tech and actually building solutions that solve real world problems. I'm lucky to have interned at a startup in the fascinating domain of Agritech, which is agricultural technology. Working with satellite APIs, geospatial data, and learning more about the intersection between agriculture and technology, this internship was really interesting for me, and I'm glad I had this internship as my first corporate experience. I think as you work in a particular industry, you naturally develop an interest for it. I would have never looked into agritech had I not done this internship. So I think it really expanded my perspective of the possible applications of technology. Another key takeaway is the importance of effective communication. Asking questions is not a bad thing. It's better to clarify the problem statement early on rather than to realize 2 weeks later that you're not even solving the stated problem. Also, focus on solving problems, not using fancy technologies. Clients will always prefer a working solution built on age old tech rather than a solution that doesn't even work but uses the latest frameworks. Be solution oriented and focus on catering to the client's needs. And that concludes this chapter of my life. I'm grateful for the opportunity I had to do this internship, and I've learned so much along the way. What's next for me? Currently, my goal is to continue improving my skills and work on personal projects. So I'm going to continue writing high quality articles like this on my journey and also AI technology. I'm going to keep engaging with the Melbourne community, the Melbourne tech community, and attend a bunch of meetups and meet some awesome people. I'm also currently working on a brain tumor analysis project, which I'm going to release and deploy soon. I'm also planning on diving deeper into advanced machine learning and ML operations. I'm also planning on learning more about design patterns, clean code, and system architecture. Now, with my internship over, I'm currently in the market for a full time machine learning engineering role based in Melbourne or hybrid remote work. So those are my current goals right now. The final words I want to say is keep learning, keep growing, and never give up on your dreams. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.